there were two people that I just kept thinking about all the time. And because of them, I'm here before you today in the public library. The first was my late mother, Dorothy. You know, my mother had a miserable childhood. She was neglected and abandoned by her parents, basically sent away by herself at the age of 8 to live with grandparents who did not want her. And by 14, she was out on her own working as a housemaid. And she was lucky to even get that, because this was in 1932, 33, when the Depression had started. I didn't know any of this when I was growing up. All I knew was she was my mom, and I thought she was a great mom. And she was active in the PTA, and she taught Sunday school, and she loved sports, and taught me to play tennis, and it was just wonderful having her as my mother. But as I got older, and I learned what her life had been like, I was shocked, because I couldn't put it together. I couldn't understand, how did she make it through? How did she end up being such a great mom to me when her mom was so neglectful and uninterested in her? So I asked her, how did you make it? And she said to me, you know, at critical points in my life, somebody showed me kindness. Somebody showed me that I mattered. And she told me about the first grade teacher that saw she never had any food for lunch. In those days, they just ate at their desk in the classroom. And without embarrassing her, the teacher went over and leaned over one day and said, you know, Dorothy, I brought too much food. Would you like some of my extra food? And my mother realized years later that her teacher fed her the entire year. And in many cases, that was the only meal she'd get on a day. And then when she went to work in the house of the family that gave her that job, babysitter, housemaid, the woman of the house knew how much my mother wanted to go to high school. She wanted it more than anything. So the woman said, you know, if you can get your chores done in the morning, you can go to high school, but you'll have to be back right after school to take care of the kids and do the rest of the chores. It was such a gift to my mother, so she'd hurry up to get the chores done, and she'd literally run to high school, and she would run down. I tell you this because it's not only who we elect as president, as important as that is. It will set, I believe, the path for the rest of the 21st century for our country. That's why I think we need a fighter. We need somebody who doesn't quit. We need somebody who has a broad agenda and understanding of our country and the world. I believe all of that, or I wouldn't be here. But what's as important in many ways is how we treat each other. How we show kindness. You know, Henry James said the 3 most important things about being a human being is to be kind, to be kind, to be kind. And I feel like sometimes we're not listening to each other, we're not supporting each other, we're not respecting each other. And so I thought about all the Dorothys in the world. All of those young kids right now in this country where somebody needs to show them they matter, that they count, to believe in them. So I'm not just interested in being president. I really want us to dig deep into the kind of people we are and how we're going to treat each other and how we're going to do more for those who the last, the lost, and the least among us. And then, of course, the other inspiration for me is that new granddaughter. And for those of you who are grandparents, I did not know how amazing it would be until I had the experience. And what it is you are anchored in the present, but thinking about the future, unlike any other experience I've ever had. So yes, you're in the present, the phones are off. You're just focused on this little person. And of course, you know, she learns to clap her hands, we give her a standing ovation. We're ridiculous, but that's part of it. But I immediately think, okay, well, what kind of future will she have? We're going to do everything we possibly can, of course, to give her every opportunity, and I hope she has the character and the work ethic to take advantage of those opportunities. But then what kind of country will she become an adult in? And what kind of world will we find waiting for her? And that's what gets me up every day. Because most of us in this room inherited the gift of America. I didn't pick my parents, and I didn't pick being born in the United States. But boy, I was lucky on both counts. And now we owe it to that next generation to make sure those opportunities, those dreams are just as real. So I'm looking for your help. I hope you will sign up to support not just me, but the agenda of this campaign, the values that I want to project and represent, and that we will work to be successful in the caucuses, to go on to get the nomination, and then have an election that sets the path and course for our country for the next 4, 8 years, and hopefully beyond. That's what I think this country I love so much needs. That's what I'm offering to all of you. Thank you very much.